Vyrah, reporting for duty. Another time together. I'm gonna do some React. Let's do some React. Let's get to React. Reacting. Alright. Let me just check out real quick if everything is within the norm. I'll try my best, okay? Oh my fucking god, don't tell me. Is my microphone fucking dying? What the fuck is this noise? Oh wait, okay. I think it's the fucking paper. No, actually no. What the fuck? So basically, I've got a problem of fucking volume. And I have no clue how to fucking... So the problem is that there is a sound beyond... Like something is moving each time I fucking shut the fuck up. Okay. Let me check the sounds. And if I put at 20... No? The fuck is this noise? Okay, I'll turn off my fan. Okay, what's this noise? It's my fucking breath. Wait a minute. Wait a fucking minute. Let me... Oh my... Default. Alright. Focus right. Okay. And now? Wait. Oh, I think it's the doll. Okay, now... Yeah, right. So... Okay, what's the fucking... Oh. It comes from... I told myself, what a fucking beautiful day. I just have to fucking like do some React. Okay, if I fucking put this max volume, I am completely fucking quiet. So fucking quiet. What the fuck? Oh yeah. Okay. And like this. So the other noise is actually not coming from it's it should be working now, but like this is like an after sound or whatever. So it's like something is moving after I stop speaking. Oh, I know what I can do. Filters, noise suppression, noise gates. Okay. Okay. The fuck is this fucking noise? Okay. Whatever. Like... Oh. Okay. Wait, there was no noise this time. Is it fixed? I don't know what I've done. I think it is. Let's... Oh my fucking god. I swear to you. So now, with the fan. Is the fan a problem now? No? Yes? I guess? Like this? I just need to not stutter, basically. Okay, I fucking changed one thing, let me just
say. A long while back, we went over all of the absolute worst cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Those cards were all...
Okay, I think it should be good enough. All right. So I wanted to all right. Then recent AAA games that actually killed it. This is from Gamer Ranks. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, share the love. It's actually a really interesting top 10 because like basically like new games, AAA. We heard about like the big games that got released, but if you're not a fan of it or whatever, like remember, like it's as stupid as the new season of fucking Fortnite, right? Remember when people used to care about Fortnite, and now it's still ongoing. It's still really successful. But like now it's just part of like the it's just part of the ecosystem, the video game, like kind of like like just it's just part of like the whole video games industry. Like I guess not industry, but scenery, like a picture. It's part of like the video game picture, and we kind of forgot about it, right? So 10 recent AAA games that actually killed it. I'm guessing it's more like I'm curious to see, to hear about like games that got released and actually, well, how is it called? Yeah, that actually successfully managed to sell and to keep being there. Sorry. And so basically, what interests me is to re-see good titles, like big titles that we heard during a recent past, and see where the games are. Sorry, oh my fucking god, this introduction is really fucking depressing. But anyway, let's check it out. I'm actually really curious about this one, and yeah.
A lot of the time, we're dumping on AAA games because they disappoint. They build you up, and they let you down. But not all the time.
Let me just check one thing.
Is that a giant crater? Wow. I got it so easy. Guard the cliff, crush the locals, look at the scenery.
Okay.
Nobody's getting past me, not without a blaster hole in him. I wonder if I'll get promoted for doing such a good job. Then I'll get the other droids to guard the cliff. Oh, but then I won't see the scenery. Now that's a dilemma.
Dilemma solved. Hi folks, it's Falcon. Join the 1% Club for the unhinged stuff weekly. Today on Game Ranks, 10 recent AAA games that actually killed it. Starting off at number 10, Resident Evil Requiem. If there's one developer out there putting...
So Resident Evil Requiem is actually a game that I really want to play, that I didn't got the time to play, and that I'm really curious about. So let's, I want to hear what they have to say about it.
Consistently strong AAAs right now, it's frickin' Capcom. Now, not everything they have put out has been completely top tier. Dragon's Dogma 2 is a bit divisive. Monster Hunter Wilds maybe streamlined things a bit too much, or depending on who you're talking to, it launched in a state. We'll leave it at that. That's not what we're talking about. Compared to other major publishers like EA, Ubisoft, or even PlayStation Studios right now, at least they're consistently putting out new games that are generally high quality. Nobody exactly knew what to make of Requiem before it came out. The game had a bit of a risky premise, could have backfired if the devs didn't handle it with, you know, a certain je ne sais quoi. Having both the more horror-focused gameplay of Resident Evil 7 alongside the more action-oriented stylings of Resident Evil 4 could have been jarring and potentially frustrating, but wow, did they...
Yeah, the problem with Resident Evil is that like they really managed to create two genre of games that are like not really not the same pace, not the same gameplay, and they want to keep the, like with the last Resident Evils, they were able to slowly add some action to the classic really claustrophobic type of gameplay that that they had. And so yeah, they probably talk about this.
They make that work. I think saying they pull it off is major understatement. And although there have been, I mean, a select few people who have said, I don't like that it switches between them. Looking back, I think it's the smartest thing they could have possibly done. People like both styles of Resident Evil, and at this point, Capcom has mastered both between the development of the new games and the remakes, so why not combine them? It's a frickin' no-brainer. I mean, in all seriousness, going through an area with the heart attack lady that might as well have a clear coat sprayed on her, she's that sweaty, builds...
Let me just check one thing, one last thing, I swear to you. Okay. So, like... like this. Right. Sorry.
builds up all the bad guys, and then you go through the area with Leon and just step on them. It's satisfying in a way that is difficult to describe, but you know what I mean if you've played the game.
I'm Grace, Ashcroft, FBI.
FBI? What are you doing here?
Someone kidnapped me.
My only complaint is that we didn't switch back and forth between them more. In many ways, this game's a full-on celebration of the series. It's got the most Easter eggs and callbacks to Resident Evil's past than any other game in the series. Even after Resident Evil 5, which was another big anniversary game with a lot of references to the past, Capcom's gamble paid off. Requiem is the fastest-selling Resident Evil game ever, selling 5 million copies in just 5 days following its launch. The last verified number they gave out was early April, and then it sold 6 million, but it was still selling at a crazy rate at that point. I honestly would not be surprised if it's quite a bit higher than that. Honestly, a lot of people have been talking about Crimson Desert sales being crazy, but Requiem absolutely sold more copies at a higher rate. Both are definitely successful games, especially in a AAA space that has been, let's be serious, struggling. It is a tough time to be a big budget publisher, but Capcom is out here making it look very easy, pumping out high quality games at a pretty consistent, in all seriousness compared to their contemporaries, almost breakneck pace. Requiem is just another excellent entry in that chain.
Yeah, I think that like the fact that they created so much hype and that the game like it is actually like there was like no drama linked to it. Everyone like it's a good thing. I'm really excited to try to get the time to try it out. But that kind of like is not exactly like what I'm after, but I'm happy that like about this. It's more about since every game, almost every game is a online service game. I'm kind of curious about these ones, you know. So with a multiplayer or stuff like that.
May not be as revolutionary as 7 or as weird as 8, but where it lacks in like exciting new ideas, the game more than makes up for it by being extremely high quality. Something else we hope is high quality are the videos that we are making, and if you want to see all of them, the best way is to enable notifications. The YouTube homepage is absolutely inundated with shorts. We get people sometimes saying, hey, where's your videos? It's doing us a big solid. We appreciate it a lot. We hope it helps you see some stuff you want to see. Thanks for enabling notifications. Let's get back to the video. And number 9 is Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Not 7, 6. Call of Duty.
Yeah, so basically Call of Duty is one of these franchises where it got released. It's mostly a online service type of game with like a multiplayer. So let's check it out. Let's see where this happened, because I remember when it got released.
Franchise has been on fire, and I don't mean he's on fire. I mean like California, when the air is dry and there's arsonists about, or whatever happened there. And no, I'm not making fun of it. I'm mentioning it. It sucked. And well, I'm not going to say that Black Ops 7 was...
I just need... wait. Okay, so when you have like problems with your sound, you become quite paranoid.
A disaster on that scale. That's because lives were lost. Black Ops 7 is...
Let me just... Should be perfect.
It's as bad of a disaster as a game can be, but if there's one bright spot in this last decade of Call of Duty games, it's actually Black Ops 6. This decade's just been rough for this franchise.
I'm actually
Cold War
surprised.
was solid, Vanguard was forgettable, Modern Warfare 2, the 2022 one, at least sanded off the rough edges of the 2019 multiplayer, but was otherwise pretty unremarkable. Modern Warfare 3 was a rushed expansion pack sold at full freaking price. And then there's Black Ops 7, a game that tried to overwhelm us with game modes that make everyone think it's full of content, but is actually just a big incoherent mess. Out of the 6 games that came out this decade, Black Ops 5 and 6 stand out, and maybe it's because they're sandwiched between disasters like Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 7,
Yeah.
but the 6 Blops feels like a modern miracle because it's far better than we could have anticipated based on the 2020's track record. Just the one bright spot in the series with years of disappointments on record. The campaign in particular is very entertaining. It's full of classic set-piece moments and wild swings and gameplay styles. There's a level of, like, hallucinations and zombie ghosts. And not a bad one. You thought that, like, that's all that needed to be said. No, the hallucination and zombie ghost level was good in this game. There's a large open world segment as well. Not dissimilar to Black Ops 7, except, again, good. You drive motorcycles through the Capitol Mall. Also, by the way, like, you're actually just in a mall as opposed to a place that feels like a mall, which is the first long stretch of Black Ops 7.
Get ready! Keep them off me!
For whatever reason, actually being in a mall is just way better than feeling like you're in a mall. It's just a fun game that reminds you why Call of Duty is good, or can be good when it's good. The game does end on a huge cliffhanger, and the presentation's a little inconsistent, but compared to the games that both preceded and followed it, it is a frickin' masterpiece, relatively speaking. And number 8 is Death Stranding 2, the mad bastard known as the Kojima.
Yeah, Death Stranding got released. People played it. Not much to be complained about, but like at the same time, the gameplay of this Death Stranding has been like accepted by the gaming community, so it's not a fucking delivery like simulator, and people understood kind of like the vision of Kojima.
Kojima did it again with a sequel that's essentially the first game, but much bigger, maybe a little more Metal Gear-ish. Depending on who you ask, though, Death Stranding 2 is either an unnecessary repeat of the first game or what the game should have been. As great as the original was, it's refreshing to get a lot more sneaking and Metal Gear-y type stuff. More enemies, more boss fights, more gadgets, varied terrain, unique hazards. It's a game that keeps introducing new stuff until the very end, and it's always engaging and always entertaining, even during the rare moments when you're just doing basic deliveries. I've seen complaints that the game's too easy and the doll man talks too much, but you can level those same exact complaints at the Metal Gear series, and those are classics. It's just how
Yeah, but I think like when it comes to difficulty, if you add too much difficulty to such an unique like style of gameplay and storytelling, it becomes like way too incoherent because of the complexity of the gameplay. With not because it's complicated, but because of how unique and because the story will overwhelm me overall. Like, it's cool to do, it's okay to do both, but I guess that like making the game accessibility is always a win in my opinion.
Kojima does things, and at least to me,
and difficulty, making a difficulty not like making a game not too difficult to enjoy is actually like inclusive, and so it's better than actually making a game that only skilled players can actually finish, you know?
It's refreshing to play an action game like this that isn't meant to be extremely challenging. It's a throwback game to the weirder world of big budget games on the PlayStation 1 and 2, only with all the modern conveniences we've come to expect and some of the more impressive visuals of any game ever made. It's a very weird game that somehow manages to be easily digestible, which at this point, I don't know how Kojima does it. He's an avant-garde artist who's a huge weirdo and puts bizarre stuff into his game, while at the same time throwing in crowd-pleasing moments that would feel right at home in a cinematic blockbuster. That's the space Kojima's always thrived in. When he goes a little too avant-garde, we get ambitious and incomplete games like Metal Gear Solid 5. But Death Stranding 2 rides the line perfectly. It's his biggest and most satisfyingly complete game yet. Hard to imagine where the series goes from here, but if it doesn't continue, this is the last Death Stranding game they ended on about as high a note as you possibly could.
I'm happy about that. I'm really happy about that. Like, Death Stranding fans are, like, I'm happy for them, you know?
And number 7 is Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Like most of Sony's recent sequels, initially this game left us with some twangs of disappointment.
Yeah, so far, Black Ops, I'm guessing that, like, it's still a forgotten game, right? So, the rest is, like, basically good listing of good AAA game, mostly solo story driven. Which is fine by me, because, like, it's always good to kind of, like, have, like, this point of view. Wait, give me 1 second. Алло? Мне нужно, чтобы ты пришла и мне твою карту отдала за 20 евро. Нужно, чтобы ты пришла и за 20 евро мне твоя карта отдала. И чтобы на интернете купить. Или без этого я не могу работать. От этого срочно надо. €20. Да, ну, по интернету. Ладно. Ну, сделаем так. Я работаю. Ладно, давай. Тебя люблю, мам. Пока. Тебя люблю, мам. Да, давай. Пока. I'll just check out my fucking menu. So my mic is completely fucked apparently, and
Story wasn't
anyway.
quite as coherent as.
So yeah, not the best thing. I have like more than 13 things happening at the same time, and it's completely stupid sometimes.
The first game. Mechanically, it wasn't as fresh, obviously. I mean, it's the second.
So Spider-Man is actually a game that, like, I am waiting to play when I get the time. I know it's a good game. I want to play it with actually Resident Evil, so hearing more about it is actually interesting.
I guess the third game in this series. But if you return to the game in 2026, I think it's safe to say that even though it's maybe not as revelatory as the first one, Insomniac hit this one out of the park and delivered one of the best piece delivery systems of the modern era. The game is just slick as hell. There's so many absolutely absurd, over-the-top moments of visual spectacle that manage to feel both cinematic and interactive in a way that really puts you in the middle of the action. The entire set piece from
it really makes you think like you're Spider-Man, huh? If you know, you know.
From investigating the lizard's house to the chase through the bay is completely nuts.
Don't worry, they think I'm a friend. Spider-Man!
And it's just one of the many creatively designed and bombastic action sequences that put the live-action movies to shame. The scope and pure spectacle of these sequences cannot be understated. The entire Sandman opening segment is amazing, and the part where you play as Venom on his rampage through Oscorp, oof, it's good. Probably the high point in the entire game, maybe the series. AAAs have been slowly moving away from this highly cinematic model, but it's really just good to get a game like this once in a while, where they put the effort to wow you consistently. It's not quite as coherent or poignant as the first game, and it's not as much of a step up as something like Batman Arkham City, but the boss fights are a hell of a lot better. If there's one thing I've got to give this game credit for, it's got some of the best bosses in AAAs that are not trying to be a Souls-like. The fight against Kraven in particular is worth the wait. They build this guy up the entire game to be the ultimate badass, and when you finally get the chance to fight him, he does not disappoint. So while it's not the biggest out-of-nowhere surprise, it does at least make me extremely excited about what Insomniac manages to do with Wolverine.
Okay.
I can't let this go.
And number 6 is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. There was a ton of skepticism about this game.
Okay, I didn't heard about Indiana Jones. Like, missed the hype.
Going in, I had a ton of skepticism. I had no idea what they were doing. On paper, it looked like an Uncharted type game, but in first person. Didn't help that Bethesda was pretty hush-hush about it right up to release, and that gave the impression that the game would be underwhelming or wouldn't review well. That proved not to be the case. The Great Circle ended up being one of the best AAAs we've gotten in years.
I have killed many men like you.
Hey!
Okay. If you want. The fuck?
It manages to be an excellent Indiana Jones adventure, maybe the best to come out of Machine Games, period, and one of the best immersive sims. It's the best Arcane game that Arcane didn't make. And to be clear, although a lot of people hated Wolfenstein Youngblood, that game was a collaboration between Machine Games and Arcane, and I have to believe that had an effect on this, whether it was Arcane's magic rubbing off on Machine Games, or if channels were open in which feedback could be gotten that maybe wouldn't have been there before. Also, Youngblood is decent. It's not the best, but it was a $20 game. What do you want? But the fact that we would even bring up Arcane in the context of a AAA Indiana Jones game that looked like it might be an Uncharted-type game in first person, absolutely bonkers. While this game does have stuff in common with Uncharted, it's fairly linear. It does have a lot of story and set pieces, but it also has massive open zones that give players a bunch of leeway in terms of how to approach situations. You can be sneaky, you can go in guns blazing, you can steal a guard uniform, do some Hitman-style social stealth.
That's cool.
Choice is yours, and when things inevitably fall apart, the scramble to survive isn't a punishment, it's actually a lot of fun. The developers correctly adapted the slapstick nature of these movies and incorporated it into the combat system, where you can pick up just about anything and use it as a makeshift weapon. It leads to tons of absurdity, and it comes naturally through the gameplay in a way that it feels good. All around excellent game. Tells a satisfying story that's actually better than the last two of the official movies. And while the big set piece moments are rare, when they do happen, they feel earned and satisfying. And number 5 is Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree. While they've been borderline for most of their existence, From Software undeniably went AAA with Elden Ring. It was an open world gamble that paid off in dividends, enough to make somebody wonder if it was even possible to make satisfying DLC for the game. With From, some of their best work comes from DLCs, and yet Shadow of the Erd Tree manages to top all of that in scale and quality. This thing is massive. It's practically a sequel built into the main game.
Damn. I actually didn't finish didn't play the Shadow of the Erd Tree. Didn't got the time, didn't got the motivation, but like this is a good reminder.
It's incredibly challenging, dense with new weapons, enemies, and a sort of unusual brain of storytelling that we've come to expect from the studio, but it's even more like whatever you'd call that. It's more accomplished, the world is more interconnected, the transitions between dungeon and open world are more seamless. In almost every way, the game takes ideas that came up with Elden Ring and expands on them. There are flaws, certain segments of the map can feel empty, but there's more than enough satisfying secrets that a few overly large open world areas are pretty easy to overlook. Especially when this game has some of From's best, most memorable, and challenging boss encounters. The difficulty is definitely a sticking point with some people. It was designed to be tough, even for players who mastered the base game. I don't know. I, for one, really like the new system that slowly powers you up from exploring, rewards curious players, and disincentivizes you from ramming your face endlessly against the same boss over and over. Players who like to style on bosses might find it frustrating, but for players who enjoy getting lost in this mysterious world, it's a simple and very satisfying mechanic. Shadow of the Erd Tree may be just DLC, but it's bigger and more accomplished than a lot of full-price Souls-likes, and it's just one more example of how many try to beat From at their own game, but nobody else does it like them. And number 4 is Black Myth Wukong, one of those too good to be true kind of games that managed to deliver. What makes this game work is they mostly keep it simple. Your moves
Yeah, Wukong got a lot of hype and got well complimented for like its gameplay, but it stayed kind of like niche. It didn't like broke the mainstream, you know?
Set's fairly limited. You only have one weapon, but they give you just enough mechanical depth to give you something to think about for the game's many combat encounters without overwhelming the player with choice. Mechanically, the game feels more than good to play, but the real draw is the incredibly lush visuals, which can sometimes even get in the way of level design because they spend too much time making realistic environments instead of ones that are fun to explore, but that's only a minor issue. The graphics are nuts, and the amount of unique enemy encounters is maybe the most impressive thing I've ever seen in the game. There are so many different enemies, mini-bosses, and full-on bosses in this game. The amount of unique boss fights alone just dwarf everything else. And for the most part, they're all well designed. They're all challenging. They're all entertaining. There's so many of them, but they maintain such a consistently high-quality output the whole time. And the whole time is not short, might I add. This is a long game, and there are so many unique fights, it can actually be kind of exhausting. There's parts where this game feels more like a boss rush than a full action game, but that's only in some specific segments. The rest of the game is much more of a traditional action game with some Souls-like elements. I think what makes this game most interesting is that it looks like a Souls game, but in terms of actions, it's probably closer to Devil May Cry. It's not as relentlessly unforgiving as a Souls game, but it's certainly no pushover. The difficulty lands somewhere in between that works really well for what this game is. And number 3 is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the ultimate AAA. Maybe the only game I would be tempted to call quadruple A. The quality is just, it's so high. It's a massive game with frankly mind-boggling production values that only seem to exist to let the player know just how absurdly expensive the whole...
My problem was with Final Fantasy Remake that it comes in multiple like games, that like it was part of the story. And basically, it's not. I don't even know if it got released. Let me check. Yeah, so basically it's not until the end of the game, and I'm guessing that like if it's not until the end of the game, like if you don't if you need to fucking wait for another game, might as well wait until the other game so you don't play a game and you want to finish it knowing that like there's an ending, you know? And you don't because like I feel that like for a remake you shouldn't wait for it like a sequel, but at the same time well, a sequel there will be at least, because like with Final Fantasy, you know, like there will the continuation will be there, so a plus for a minus, I guess, you know.
Whole thing was to create. It is Square Enix at its most self-indulgent. You could just see the money burning when you go to places like Calm or Cosmo Canyon or Golden Saucer. Everything's bespoke, it's carefully crafted, animated, there's tons of unique interactions, background details, visual flourishes everywhere. It's massive, totally absurd, and it makes the first remake look like a tech demo, because it basically is a tech demo for this game. If anything, this game is too big. You could say there's too much open world bloat, but I'm not sure I would, because it's such an absurdly detailed and carefully crafted game. Even the mini-games are visually elaborate and mechanically complicated. Very few games have left my jaw on the floor as consistently as Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There's a reason why on the Falcon Show we call it an irresponsibly big game. And number 2 is Alan Wake 2. Remedy's biggest game yet, has at least one thing in common with Rebirth. It is very self-indulgent and in the best possible way. Only a developer like Remedy can create a segment that is essentially a rock opera retelling of Alan Wake that incorporates real footage with in-game action in a way that, I mean, it's definitely unique, but it doesn't feel wrong. I mean, there's also an entire abstract short film you can watch from beginning to end in this game. There are full live-action commercials to watch, and There's 2 entirely different campaigns that you can play in parallel or one at a time. It's easily the developer's longest game. It's essentially 2 Alan Wake sequels stitched together in one Frankenstein monster of a game. And unlike most games that try to do this sort of thing, both campaigns are
Alan Wake is really not my fun, not my style of game.
huge. They feel complete and they rarely intersect. And when they do, it's in ways that really feel good. I talked about the 2 gameplay styles in Resident Evil Requiem, and although the 2 characters aren't as different in Alan Wake 2, I don't think the Resident Evil people didn't take some inspiration there. I feel like, well, if they can do that, we can do this. And they were correct. This is a well-made game that looks fantastic and holds its own compared to a lot of other survival horror, despite a lot of unconventional stuff. It looks fantastic, it does some intriguing things that expand the whole Remedy combined universe, and it is a satisfying continuation of Alan Wake's story. So many games that end on a cliffhanger never get adequately resolved, but this game manages to feel entirely different from the first game while being a satisfying continuation, and I don't feel like they're not going to finish it, honestly. It feels like they'll finish it. And number 1 is Donkey Kong Bonanza. Nobody knows the exact budget of this game, but hey, even if Nintendo's going to be real quiet and not say anything, but from dev interviews, we know the game started development right around when Mario Odyssey wrapped up. So probably about 7 to 8 years, which is longer than GTA 6 has been in active development. So while the game may not look like a traditional AAA, it's bright and cartoony and exclusively available on the Switch 2, which is a fine system, but compared to other next-gen consoles and PC games, not quite as impressive. And while it's not necessarily pushed the polygons and effects like some other games on this list, it managed to be one of the most exciting and innovative games from the past few years in the AAA space. It's yet another game where nobody really knew exactly what to make of it right before it was coming out. Like, there was a lot of hand-wringing that this would be a big Nintendo flop. I would like to note that I was not one of the people saying that. I saw what was going on with the world digging and destruction stuff, and I was like, I am in. And yes, I understand that people were not exactly satisfied with Mario Kart World. It's definitely for a certain kind of person, but Bonanza is not. It is a game that anybody can enjoy while being extremely strange. Like, this takes destruction to the next level, transforming what really could have been a traditional platform into something way more freeform. Being able to climb anywhere and smash just about anything is oddly liberating for one of these kinds of games. It takes a general approach to
Yeah, it's really interesting that such type of like gameplay is usually like it feels really boring, that you can just like destroy and smash, have like interact with the world surrounding you, right? But like, I guess they really nailed it well, but like, I'm still not convinced, you know. But at the same time, it's not at all my type of like video game type of like style of game, like with it's too cartoony and stuff. And I'm not a fond of Donkey Kong. That's also why.
freedom that Mario Odyssey offered, which pushes it much further with open levels that can be just completely dismantled if you want them to.
Like Kirby,
it's
why not?
Recognizable
But like,
as a Nintendo game, but
no,
far more experimental than we're used to seeing from the company, at least in the past. More and more with games like this and Tears of the Kingdom, Nintendo's becoming one of the most innovative AAA developers on the market. They refuse to sit back and savor.
I absolutely agree. Nintendo actually like keep on going with the idea that like there is no mold and there is and while they have like objectively like not a lot of IPs now. The IPs that they use them well, and they are really careful trying to create new products, sell create new games to be really like unmistakably like having an identity.
Their success with their biggest franchise instead seem hell-bent on reinventing them and pushing game design to exciting new places. AAA is generally considered where innovation goes to die. Like, mechanically unusual games are regularly, indies, but Bonanza is a AAA with an indies innovation, and that's a real breath of fresh air in an industry that often feels bereft of new ideas.
Yeah, I'm seeing like this gameplay and I'm like, oh my fucking god, this is not for me at all. But like, it doesn't mean that like it's bad. It's just like, no, not for me.
I do have a couple of bonuses for you. Star Wars
Okay.
Jedi Survivor. And that game is an easy win. It's bigger, it's better, it's more polished than Fallen Order, and, well, it did absolutely kill it. The launch was a little bit rough, but once the patches rolled in, this is a hell of a game. The first game is a hell of a game, but this one really cashes in on the potential of the first game. The combat's deeper, the exploration actually rewards you, the world design, ooh-wee is it nice. And I want to go ahead. I think that it's fair to say that Cal Kestis, over the course of the two games, went from pretty solid protagonist to maybe one of the best post-Disney Star Wars characters. Obviously, that's not on Disney, that's on Respawn, but still. And it's still got the DNA
I
of a
agree.
Souls-like, but they did ease off the full-on Souls-like pressure. Not that the first was even a full-on Souls-like, but they definitely take their inspiration from that. I think this game swings a little bit further into its own territory than the first. Man, it's just such a good game. Moving on, it's the Resident Evil 4 remake. I'm not sure what's more impressive.
Oh
than
yeah,
Red-
this remake actually, like, good on Capcom for doing that. Wow, this remake was actually such a fucking like fucking like alpha play. Oh my fucking god, they really found the right game to do the remake of, and I'm really happy to like it, and it turned out to be really
Resident
awesome.
Evil 9 worked, where the Capcom managed to enhance one of the best games of all time in the minds of many players. The Resident Evil 4 remake was a ballsy move by Capcom, like the original is easily one of the highest rated and most revered games of all time. So remaking that could only be folly, but somehow they managed to not just pass the assignment, but ace it. That anyone might even consider this the better game of the two is remarkable, and we've just seen Capcom on like the top of their game. They're making stuff that looks fantastic and is satisfying.
Yeah, and technically, like Resident Evil to remake, it's really about the graphics, because like the gameplay itself is really a gameplay that doesn't change, and you can easily see that like if it's not for like a couple quirks, a couple changes, like you can the main line, the baseline is the same. So like remaking Resident Evil games is actually like not that complicated, but because they really found created a fun gameplay that is and that they kept.
Satisfying as hell to play. And our last stop in the bonus is going to be Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It's AAA with the heart of an indie. It's a game
I remember this one, not my style of game at all, but I remember this one as well.
we've sung the praises of up and down the channel already, so there's little reason to belabor the point. I just wanted to throw this in because it really is an excellent game. If you really want a game with a slow beginning that actually does build to something, it's Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It's got fantastic production values, truly beautiful environmental design, an actually intriguing story with interesting and likable characters that you care about, all while having some of the most hardcore mechanics we've ever seen in an RPG. It's almost like I'm contrasting it with some other game, but I'm not. I'm literally just describing it. This game somehow manages to mix Red Dead Redemption with the most esoteric of European RPG and make it work. Again, it sounds like I'm comparing it to some other game, but why would I do that? Did some other game not make it work? I don't know. Anyway, the first game was a bold attempt, but the sequel is everything coming together to be a rock-solid package that looks fantastic, runs well, and most importantly is relatively light on bugs, especially compared to the state of the first game. That's all I've got for you today. We'll see how much of my negging of Crimson Desert actually makes it past the editors. What do you think? Leave us.
Well, thank you, Gamer Ranks. This was actually mostly so not as I expected. Like not a lot of like AAA like service game that were talked about, but they talked about like solo story driven type of games. It's a good reminder, and I think and it's nice to know that like it didn't die out after the hype. All right. Okay. Um. Let me just check something. Okay, okay, my sound is actually all right. Okay, so this was cool. This was cool. Let's keep going. I'll get myself a drink. Okay, I got myself a drink. Let's keep on watching. When everyone loves the villain from The Masked Man. Let's check it out. Subscribe and leave a like to The Masked Man. Share the love. Yeah, let's just check it out. I'm actually curious if it talks about like an anime or if it's just in general, a general essay. Want to hear what it's about.
In their most basic form, villains are hated. Sky is blue, I know. Some more than others. But the desire to see them defeated is a huge driving force into us wanting to see the story through. The Rock versus Triple H. One person to cheer and one person to boo. Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon. Hulk Hogan versus... well, never mind. The morally gray villain will draw out different sentiments, even support if their point of view makes enough sense. Sometimes the villain is so good in the role that there is a respect for the writing despite us wanting to see them suffer the ramifications for their actions. Then we have Askeladd, a murdering, thieving, pillaging Viking, although Viking is all-encompassing of that, who is responsible for the killing of Thorfinn's father. A wise man living a life of peace and atonement away from violence. Askeladd discards the honor of the duel he lost in order to get his payday, and no one seems to hold it against him. When I ask people who their favorite character is in Vinland Saga, I get two answers: Thorfinn and Askeladd. Yes, people love the writing, but they also love the personality of the character far more than any resentment for his actions. Why is Askeladd so beloved? This is what the creator of Vinland Saga had to say about Askeladd. Quote, for example,
this is actually really cool that he got this
example, Askeladd, his role is to bring Thorfinn from the countryside of Iceland into the very center of the war. He's kind of a terrible person to Thorfinn, but at the same time, he's also a father figure. These two sides of him created this ambivalent character, and so that motive made him. As long as the motive is interesting, it makes the character an interesting person as well. End quote. Before we know anything about Thorfinn or invested into his character, the story gives us a strong first impression of Askeladd. Chapter 1 and 2 give us a clear idea of what type of man we are dealing with, and commending respect from it. He is shown to be a smart, tactical man, adept in all manners of war, not just the physical, but also negotiations. His ability to speak is just as deadly as his ability with the sword. An extremely charismatic person, with the ability to poke into other people's weaknesses. There's a trick to manipulating every human being. Some of this comes from a clarity he has about how people work. Quote, a man, slave to gold, holds a whip, and beats the slave he bought with that gold as if to claim he is the master. He just doesn't see it for himself. Every living human being is a slave to something. End quote. Everything we see from Askeladd to begin with are qualities you want from someone in charge. We aren't given a single reason to dislike him. All we know is that Thorfinn hates him. But even in those exchanges, Askeladd comes off as efficient and to the point, wise but not overly cruel or cowardly. Then we are given the backstory as to why Thorfinn wants revenge on Askeladd. Maybe here the disconnect will disappear and we will share the sentiments of a young Thorfinn. Askeladd is hired to kill Thorfinn's father, Thors, a man that left behind his crew to live a life of peace, coming to understanding that life is sacred after the birth of his daughter, believing that no one has any enemies, wanting to spare his son of the life of bloodshed and pain. It's fair to say that at the point in the story where we meet him, Thors is a good man, one full of past sins, but is trying to atone and change, going as far as to pay an absurd amount for a half-dead slave, and then gives him a proper burial. When the two meet, as Thors and his men are trapped, they engage in a duel, showing off the legendary ability of Thors and further confirming the capabilities of Askeladd as well. The duel ends in Thors winning. Then Askeladd's right-hand man Bjorn takes Thorfinn captive, and Askeladd has Thors killed in front of his son, dishonoring the nature of the duel. He does honor Thor's final wish for his men to be spared, but this moment would usually be the turning point where a character like Askeladd would be hated by the audience, and we fully share Thorfinn's desire to see Askeladd dead. But that isn't really the case. I have a few ideas as to why. Despite him caring more about result than honor, he did uphold the deal he made with the men who hired him, and also the deal he made with Thors. Had he gone on to kill all the other men and spit on the grave of Thors, then I could see more animosity existing. Even later on when he mocks Thorfinn about his father, it's done more in a way to take advantage of Thorfinn's anger and teach him a lesson, and not out of a desire to trash Thors per se. Tactics, not personal ego. The other reason is despite it being a very powerful scene,
This is interesting.
we don't really spend that much time with Thors, especially in comparison to Askeladd. If Makoto wanted us to hate Askeladd passionately, then he would have allowed us to have more time with the character. Give us an entire arc where we love Thors and really get to see that growth, on top of just seeing him as a moral anomaly in the world he lives in. But we spend far more time with Askeladd than we do Thors, allowing us to understand Thorfinn's motivation, but still leave us open to growing attached to Askeladd as well without needing a 180 from him. It could very well be argued that in the first arc, Askeladd actually takes the role of protagonist for many sections. Still a villain given what he does, but we get an extensive look into his qualities and outlook on life. Quote, "You're young, time's on your side. You'll grow up, and I'll grow old. Someday you'll likely beat me. It's only natural, even the strongest man must die." He isn't a man that views himself in a delusional manner, always coming off as grounded. His ability to read people, as is shown in the beginning, is then full-blown impressive the more we go through the story. I've lived among the wicked men for 20 years, and I've picked up a skill along the way. I can tell what a man is. Is he great or timid? Is he clever or stupid? One glance at his face will tell me everything I need. I'm aware this isn't the most analytical statement, but to hell with that for a second. He's just cool as fuck. We like cool. If this wasn't my job, I'd leave it there.
We do like cool indeed.
I'll also add that there is this honesty with the character that is very appreciated, since a lot of war characters that might handle the more tactical side of it are presented as cowardly when we want to dislike them, yet in all of the major battle scenes, Askeladd finds himself in the mud as well leading his men, showing that he is an individual that leads by example. So as the story goes on, we are simply endeared more and more to his positive qualities that exist in wartime. The big turning point that endeared the audience more to Askeladd, however, is the revelation of his bloodline and origin. Quote, "Do you still believe in the legend? It says that King Artorias will return from Avalon in the west and restore Britannia to the glory days of old." End quote. A little bit of history. Wales, Scotland, and England were separate kingdoms with distinct cultural and ethnic backgrounds. England was made up of several Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, founded by Germanic tribes such as the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes, who migrated to Britain after the fall of the Roman Empire. In contrast, Wales was home to the Celtic kingdoms, descended from the native Britons who said, "Fuck the Anglo-Saxons." Meanwhile, Scotland consisted of a mix of Pictish and Gaelic kingdoms, with some influence from the Angles in the southeast, but it largely remained separate from the Anglo-Saxon rule. This time period, up until the 15th century Renaissance, was known as the Dark Ages. Vinland Saga takes place during the 11th century, where the Danes, also known as the Vikings, are invading, and the current king of the Danes, King this fucker has brought devastation to Wales, which is Askeladd's homeland. This revelation adds a new light to his words and his essence as a person, and gives us someone easy to hate in the king. Askeladd and his mixed blood being Danish and Welsh. Quote, I am half Welsh, half Nordic. My father Olaf once raided the coast of Wales and took my mother Lydia as a concubine. She gave birth to me. The other person responds, but I had always heard the bloodline of the hero of Old Britannia had died out. You claim you were truly the descendant of the great Artorias? Once again, that name being brought up, Artorias. Relax, Dark Souls fans, I'm not British and this video isn't 2 hours longer than it needs to be. Not that Artorias. Artorias, the military leader from Britannia, the Celtic predecessors to England, who lived in the 5th and 6th centuries AD, according to Welsh historical accounts. In the year 516, the invading Saxons, who later became the English, were soundly crushed by Artorias' army at the Battle of Baden Hill, thus bringing peace to Britannia. He formed the basis for the legend of King Arthur, as it is known today. Askeladd and his origins were actually foreshadowed, or pretty much just given, when he mentions he's a descendant to Thor's, something that the average person wouldn't pick up on unless they were familiar with all this history, since the story doesn't go on to give the exposition dump until much later. The name he was given meaning Ashen Lad, from working in a smith shop. Askeladd explains that when his mother was sick, his father sent her to the stables, and assures the man that he is speaking with that he despises the Danes, stemming from the hatred for his father, and his current methods come from a place of survival as a child. Growing tired of Thorfinn running into the same brick wall, and on edge from recent events, he shares his story on the hopes Thorfinn will learn. Quote, only a fool gives in to his rage, screams his bloody head off, and waves his weapon about. It's like nobody around here has ever heard of grace or beauty. Bjorn was right. I hate warriors, especially Norsemen. My very first kill was a Norse warrior. He was an ugly man. My father. Let me give you a lesson, boy, on how to kill a man you truly hate. He explains his father was a hero in Jutland. Think modern-day Denmark. He had many kids, and as said earlier, when his mother fell sick, he treated her no better than the dogs. He then retells his mother telling him of the legend of Artorias, a hero that would return and free her. He lived in paradise on Earth. They waited and waited. 5 centuries have passed. The hero still has not returned. His mother's spirit broke, and she approached his father, who then tried to kill her. This is where we get one of the quotes that defines Askeladd. In an instant, I knew. If Artorias would not come to save my mother now, he would never come for us at all. Do you understand, boy? Someone has to do it. Not a hero, not a god, just someone. He stopped his father from doing it, and says he just needed to catch his father's eye, accepting his training and getting along with his half-brothers for 2 years. Then when his guard was down, he killed him. Quote, the sword belonged to one of my brothers. I'd stolen it from the one who was most at odds with my father. The others thought he'd done it, and they hung him from a tree. Such simple-minded cretins, stupid and filthy, and unconcerned with anything but their own base urges. And now these ugly men flood forth from every cave and hovel to squeeze the life out of the world. For every one you kill, 2 take his place. I don't care if it's Artorias or Ragnarok or the final judgment, as long as it comes damned soon. But I doubt I'll be alive to see it for myself. That story ran long. The point is, Thorfinn, you've had a decade and you still can't beat me. That makes you a clown. Use your head for once. End quote. This adds a context to his style of revenge, chastising Thorfinn for his hot-headed and reckless approach, while Askeladd has used the Danes he despises in order to enact his version of revenge, further proving his composure under 99.9% of situations, as well as adding context to his moral thinking, not believing in heroes, and even at other points in the story clearly not being fond of Christianity. In his mind, due to his life experiences, in this world there is no need for a hero and no need for a savior. Just someone who is willing to do the job. He does what he views as necessary before doing what will satisfy him or concerning himself with
Actually, fascinating character. What the fuck?
the moral details. Of course, he has his own code, but killing Canute's caretaker in order to toughen up Canute gives a bit of a show of how he really thinks. His way of assuring Wales will be in a better position as the current king is dying, even later admitting it to Canute, knowing Canute would still want Askeladd at his side. Knowing his history is a major influence on how he views the world and how he behaves, even telling Canute he is more suited to be a king since Askeladd himself is just a Viking. He needs Canute in power in order to ensure Wales will be in a better place, carrying out his objective and promise to his mom to be the king's sword, even by choking down his hatred for his own men. I've hated every last one of you. with every fiber of my being. You stinking pig-fucking Danish whore sons. The only one he saw as a friend being Bjorn. However, his plan against the king goes south when the king uses his Welsh heritage against him, making him choose between Canute or his homeland. In that moment, he chooses the best option. Similar to the way his brother took the fall for the murder, he will do the same, and being that someone who will step up and be the hero. He has the king at sword point after insulting him. This is my final warning. Put away your sword, Askeladd. That's only a nickname. Do you want to know my real name? The one given to me by my mother? Lucius Artorius Castus, and I am the rightful king of Britannia. He protects Canute and Wales at the same time, by killing the king and letting Canute kill him, denying Thorfinn of the revenge he so desperately wanted. And with his final words, Askeladd gives Thorfinn heartfelt advice. Being a man that lived with revenge in mind, a slow-burning revenge, but one that is poison nonetheless. Despite what he did to Thorfinn, he tells him the same thing Thor's would. Thorfinn refuses to kill him, yelling that it was all supposed to be by his hands. Quote, "Haven't you given a thought to what you're going to live for after I'm dead, Thorfinn? You haven't, have you? You're hopeless, you know that? Move on, Thorfinn. Don't hang on to this petty bullshit your entire life. You gotta move on. Go further. You are the son of Thor's, so venture beyond the world he saw. That is your true battle. Be a true warrior, son of Thor's." Being a true warrior was said to Askeladd by Thor's in their battle. A true warrior needs no sword. But this is something for Thorfinn to figure out another time. Askeladd, despite his calculated methods, was still a slave to something, his revenge, and saw that Thorfinn was unable to see past his. But he would need to in order to truly live free. Rightful king of Britannia, lived in the stables as the son of a slave, demonstrating patience and wit that is hard not to admire. For the first part of Vinland Saga, it could be argued Askeladd is the most human character, flawed with reason and a pragmatic way of viewing the world, but with wisdom from decades of experience. Men stuck by his side knowing he was their best option for a better life, even in his Viking ways, showing respect and care for some. Bjorn, Thor's, and even Thorfinn as a kid who had been trying to kill him for a decade, leaving him with parting words to live a life free from revenge and find paradise, despite believing there was no paradise for himself. He hopes Thorfinn can find his, and despite not being a hero or believing in them, doing something that is ultimately seen as heroic in the grander picture. It's easy to see why he is held in such high regard. Lucius Artorius Castus.
This was really interesting. I think that like the build up for the character. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like. Really interesting. I didn't get into Vinland Saga that much, but I think that was like a beautiful essay. It talks about an interesting character. So, yeah. All right. Okay. I really need to fucking be sure that like my this fucking paranoia. Okay. Okay. Let me keep on going. Right. Oh my fucking god. I touched. Well, I touched one fucking thing in my fucking OBS, and now my life is over because, like, I am unsure. Unsure of what? Unsure if my fucking sound is like, like, my sound level is, acceptable. Yeah. Right. Gachakuta. The anime got released not too long ago. And for a video game to be released this early, I'm actually surprised. So let's check it out. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like to share the love. All right.
来れるもんなら来てみろよクソ野郎
Okay. Looks interesting enough. Damn. Okay, the gameplay is interesting. It looks fun to play. And it's pretty enough. The presentation is, well, it's gameplay presentation, but still. The music is absolutely awful. Oh my fucking god. Take the time to listen to the music. What the fuck is it? What the fuck am I listening? This is so not my vibe of music, what the fuck? Damn, the graphics, like, in the game, the art direction is really gear.
Yakkai na wa ore no shigoto jake no.
Damn. What the fuck? What happened? Oh my. The graphics are beautiful. The gameplay looks fun enough. If you like the anime, good news for you, because like the anime got released like so like Gacha Kuta is actually like a got trendy, like got viral not too long ago. The game, like, it looks creative enough, it looks pretty enough. Now, what type of game it is? Like, maybe it could be even like a fucking gacha game at this point. So who knows? But like, there's something at least, and they seem to like their product. So good news for all the Gacha Kuta fans, huh? Let me do the fucking recheck. This becomes stupid, but like, I swear to you, I fucking moved one fucking thing in my OBS, and I'm fucked. Like, okay, I'm slowly like finding the equilibrium, and the equilibrium is actually like this. Can I hear myself say one line? Okay, I can hear myself through the fucking footage. Okay, we are doing slowly but steadily progress. Oh my.
Whatever you read on the internet.
All right.
Which is what I've read. It's all true because it's the internet.
Yes. Everything on
the strange history of Breaking Benjamin. I love Breaking Benjamin. If you played Halo, you know at least one song from Breaking Benjamin. Dun, 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 dun. Subscribe to the Punk Rock KMBA and share the love. Yeah, I love this band. Actually, a band that like really never made waves. Like, I know nothing about this band except they do good music. So let's check it out.
You've had some issues going on. Whatever you read on the internet, which is what I've read, it's all true because it's the internet.
Yes. Everything on the internet's true.
Breaking Benjamin has quietly become one of the most influential bands in rock and metal. I'll admit that I initially wrote them off as just another generic radio rock band back when they came out, but in hindsight, I couldn't have been more wrong. And if you're not familiar, they sound something like this. And as far as their impact, the numbers don't lie. They've hit the Billboard Top 10 4 times and have gone platinum 3 times in an era in which rock was much less popular and selling a lot less albums than it used to. And you'll hear them mentioned as an influence by many of this generation's most important bands, like Motionless in White, Starset, and Of Mice and Men, among just a few. And so despite being labeled as basic radio rock or maybe even butt rock, the truth is that they are one of the biggest gateway bands that you'll hear people cite as their entryway.
I agree. Gateway bands is basically the type of bands that like allows you to discover a genre without like feeling having force yourself into musical genres that are like not really easily like easy to get into. But yeah, I completely agree. Breaking Benjamin is a great entry for like new metal and melodic metal and so on.
Into heavy music in general, introducing literally millions of kids to the genre, many of which went on to get into more obscure underground stuff. So yes, the Breaking Benjamin to Lorna Shore to Infinite Annihilator pipeline is real. But the question is, how did they do it? How did 4 guys from a small...
Yeah, actually, like, this is the interesting part where like they never had any, even like Sum 41 They had like a couple like stuff that happens, and like even if you don't follow the news, like or watch like follow like a celebrity like news, like Breaking Benjamin never had a controversy whatsoever. So I'm actually really curious about anything about them, because I completely forgot that I love everything that they do, but like I have no clue what the fuck they are.
Small town in Pennsylvania, go on to become one of the biggest rock bands of the 2000s? That is the question that I will try to answer in this video. Listen up, football fans. This is the last weekend of the year to get your football bets in. I've teamed up with DraftKings, and right now is the perfect time to get your shot at the crown. DraftKings is giving all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly when they place their first $5 bets on anything. There's no time like the present. Download the DraftKings app now and sign up using my promo code PUNKROCK. That's right, new customers who bet just $5 will get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Wondering what you could use your $200 in bonus bets on? Combine multiple bets together from Super Bowl 58 for a shot at an even bigger payout. And if you're already signed up for DraftKings like me, you can make a bet on Super Bowl 58 and get a bonus bet back. Get a bonus bet in the amount of your original wager. Maximum reward varies. And if sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have a shot at winning cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code PUNKROCK and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code PUNKROCK only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Our story begins in 1998 in the relatively small city of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, where the vocalist Benjamin Burnley was already part of a
I kind of thought like they could have been Canadians for some reason.
Band called Breaking Benjamin, but it wasn't the Breaking Benjamin that we know today. It was a completely different band that mostly played covers from bands like Weezer and the Beatles. This lineup disbanded after he moved to California, but after returning to Pennsylvania with their drummer Jeremy Hummel, Benjamin formed a new band called Plan 9. And eventually this new band reverted back to the name Breaking Benjamin, partly due to the simple fact that Benjamin still had some stickers with that name on it. Which is kind of funny, but to be fair, you can't really blame them, right? Stickers are expensive. And on September 15th of 2002, they released their debut album, Saturate. And the album didn't exactly put
It is a really beautiful album, if you're into that. Like,
them on the track to stardom, but it did get some traction and showed.
If you never heard about any songs about like Breaking Benjamin and you're into like new metal and alternative metal, like give it a try. It's really worth it. It's really fun. It's really beautiful. I really love it. Maybe it's not for you, but like it's worth the listening, you know?
That they were onto something. It debuted at number 136 on Billboard and number 2 on the Heatseekers chart, which, all things considered, is pretty damn good for a new band. And sonically, you can hear the foundation for what they would later go on to become. This album has a little bit more of a nu metal sound compared to their later stuff, but it still has that kind of post-grunge sensibility and those distinctive vocal patterns that would go on to be one of the most copied templates in all of modern metal, but more on that later.
Get away.
And after a bit of touring, they returned to the studio again in October of 2003 to record the follow-up to Saturate. In the next summer, they released what would go on to be their breakout album, We Are Not Alone. And unlike the first album, right from the get-go, this album was a massive success. It debuted at number 20 on Billboard, it went on to be certified gold a few months later, and then eventually went platinum the following year. And this album not only put them on the map commercially, but it's also really where they came into their own sonically. For one, the songs became more memorable and just in general harder hitting, but at the same time it also showed what differentiated them from all the other mainstream radio rock bands of the time that were part of that whole post-grunge thing. For one, their songs sounded a lot more dark and moody compared to a lot of the other bands in the genre, like say 3 Days Grace or Skillet. And to be fair, those bands weren't exactly writing happy songs either, but by comparison, Breaking Benjamin did put more of an emphasis on that dark atmosphere compared to most of the other bands.
And I think that, like, in a way, they are way more romantic as well in their way to write, and it's something that I appreciate a lot.
And a few months later, they released another single called Blow Me Away, which got them even more traction, largely because it appeared in Halo 2, which at the time was one of the absolute most popular video.
Yeah, appeared during the arena. Like, if you know, you know. Like, what the fuck?
Video games on the planet.
And it was really like one of the few songs that like was a real song and was able to match the vibe of fucking Halo. So it's a success within itself, you know, because like try to fucking like add some I don't know, Slipknot or Korn to Halo 2. It doesn't fucking, I don't see like any vibes that really picked the right ones, you know.
But with that being said, even though We Are Not Alone was the album that put them on the map, their real breakthrough moment was about to come. 2 years later, in August of 2006, they released their biggest album yet, Phobia. It debuted at number 2 on Billboard, sold almost triple what the previous album did in the first week, and ended up getting 2 platinum singles and 1 gold single. And on top of that, the lead single, The Diary of Jane, was at the time the fastest added single to radio playlists in the entire history of Hollywood records. It was really just all around a smash hit for the band. And I think there's a few factors to why that happened. For one, I think this is easily just the catchiest material they've put out up until this point. You can put it on and even, you know, your sister-in-law that doesn't even listen to music will enjoy it. Another fact is,
I think that like they are also within like the way their vision of music is they really have a colorful music for something so dark, and they really have some, if you get it, maybe it's just me, but like if you understand, get it, you get it. It's really like so colorful. Breaking Benjamin is such a colorful band, you know?
The overall theme of this album, which is phobias, which is a pretty relatable topic for just about anybody. I mean, we're all afraid of something, right? And so it's one of these albums where you can sort of see yourself in it almost no matter who you are. For example, the cover of the album shows a man with wings over a highway, which represents Benjamin Burnley's fear of flying. And to use another song as an example, Unknown Soldier seems to be about the fear of just being forgotten. But with all of that being said, even with the smashing success of Phobia, things weren't all great in the Breaking Benjamin camp. The main reason for that being, to put it bluntly, Ben's alcoholism. Pretty much from the beginning of the band up until this point, he was a very, very heavy drinker. Up until the point where he went on a 3-day sleepless bender of just non-stop drinking, which was kind of his rock bottom moment where he made the choice to get sober.
No, but you know, I just basically suffered some mental illnesses from drinking and physical ailments from drinking. And it kind of stepped in and said, look, made it really apparent to me that if I was to keep drinking, then I wouldn't be here. And that was the reality. And the sad thing is years and years ago, that's what I wanted. It just came at the wrong time. It came a little late.
And this addiction and overcoming it would end up being the theme for their next album, Dear Agony, which came out in September of 2009. And this was once again a massive success. It debuted at number 4 on Billboard, went gold a year later, and eventually platinum in 2015. And like I mentioned, the overall theme for this was Ben's alcoholism and him struggling to overcome it.
Well, Dear Agony is the first album that I've ever written and recorded completely sober, so it was kind of a new adventure for me. Definitely a challenge, because I relied heavily on alcohol for influence and inspiration and stuff.
For example, the album cover itself is Ben's brain scan when he was still going heavy on the alcohol.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And on the one hand, this is a very relatable topic because almost all of us have either gone through that ourselves or know somebody who has. But on the other hand, it's also a risk because there's this sort of tradition of artists getting sober and then writing an album about it. And their sober album, unfortunately, tends to not be great. And so a lot of artists are almost afraid to get sober because they're worried that it's going to make their music suck.
You know, Dear Agony, I think, is more personal because of the clarity of being sober. It kind of really made me focus, especially lyrically, in making things vague, but at the same time making them make more sense than in the past. I can't get away with anything. I can't drink away any inadequacies in the lyrics, you know? So before it'd be, if I was unhappy with a line, I'd just take a shot and I'd be fine with it.
And so they're sort of caught between a rock and the hard place, where on the one hand, they want to get sober because they know they need to, but on the other hand, they're afraid of ruining their career, and oftentimes they feel like they have no good choices. But fortunately, that wasn't the case for Breaking Benjamin.
This one in particular, I can't really compare it to ones in the past, so I think in the past, anything that really kind of made sense thematically was a coincidence more so than anything else. And this one is definitely focused and definitely has vague subject matter in it.
Musically, they picked up where they left off on Phobia, but because of the theme of this album, the lyrics are much more triumphant and uplifting compared to what was on Phobia. After the release of the album, they toured with bands like 3 Days Grace, 1,000 Foot Crutch, and Sick Puppies, until Ben decided to put the whole band on hiatus due to some health issues. Specifically, even though he had gotten sober, he developed something called the Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. Essentially, it's when your body still behaves as if you're using alcohol, but without actually getting drunk. So you get the headaches and dizziness, things like that. Steve Harwell of Smash Mouth, I think, had the same thing. And it can be absolutely debilitating. But in spite of all that, in March of 2010, Hollywood Records asked the band to make 2 new songs as well as a greatest hits album. They also wanted to release a new version of the song Blow Me Away with Sydney Duran of Valora. In May of 2011, 2 of the other members of the band agreed to do this for $100,000, which Ben didn't like because in his view, this was the 2 band members kind of going rogue, acting on their own without informing or consulting him or the band's management. And keep in mind that Breaking Benjamin is pretty much Ben's band. He is the sole songwriter and founding member, as far as I'm aware. So, to be honest, it's kind of understandable that he would feel that way.
Yeah. I'm the primary writer in the band, so I've pretty much written all the albums myself, though I have collaborated on a few things. But for the most part, it's been pretty much just me.
And he subsequently fired both of them via email and demanded at least...
Damn, it must be kind of like... you know, lonely to actually have a band, but being the main songwriter and basically being the artist, just having artists that are able to fulfill to make your vision become true, right? Must feel lonely, you know?
$250,000 in compensatory fees and exclusive rights to the name Breaking Benjamin. But even with Ben opposing it, the label released a greatest hits album called Shallow Bay in 2011, while all of this drama was going on behind the scenes. The whole thing resulted in a lawsuit that spanned several years, which ultimately got resolved in April of 2013, with Ben winning and retaining the full rights to the name Breaking Benjamin. The band's official statement went as follows. The dispute between Benjamin Burnley, who is the sole founder, primary musician, singer, and songwriter for the band Breaking Benjamin, and 2 of the band's ex-band members has been resolved.
I mean, the dude, his name is Benjamin, his band name is Breaking Benjamin. You fucking try to steal, like, his license, like, basically, like, his right over a name, but, like, on this one, like, it's not clever because, like, yeah, okay, and so you end up having rights over the band Breaking Benjamin from the artist called Benjamin, like, but like, and so what? You release songs without Benjamin as Breaking Benjamin? Like, it's kind of stupid.
Benjamin Burnley retains his right to use his band name, and Breaking Benjamin will continue. While Ben himself had to say, I am pleased to finally put this matter behind me and focus on the future for Breaking Benjamin. I wish to express my never-ending love and gratitude to the best fans in the world for their undying love and support. Words cannot express my love to all of you. Thank you. And in 2014, the band announced that they would officially be returning with a new lineup. They had played some acoustic shows as well as a few regular shows on the East Coast. And in March of 2015, they released their first new single called Failure, which was their first new piece of music since 2009. And shortly after that, in the summer of 2015, they released their next album called Dark Before Dawn. And this was really a triumphant return. After all these years off and after all the stuff that had been going on behind the scenes with the legal battles and Ben's health and all of that, fans understandably wondered if the band still had it. And this album answered that question with a resounding yes. It debuted at #1 on Billboard for the very first time in the history of the band, and went on to become certified gold a year later. And musically, it's really as if they took the sound that they had on Phobia and just fine-tuned it. To quote Ben himself, "I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I just want to write good music that's going to stand the test of time, and I try to do that. I think fans are noticing that the band hasn't changed because I'm the main songwriter. I always have been, and my process, it's not going to change." And so basically, if you liked Breaking Benjamin's old stuff, well, you're probably going to like this stuff too, because like he said, really, it's still the same band. And then a few years later in 2018, they released, at least as of the time I'm recording this video, their latest album called Ember. Which once again was a massive success. It debuted at #3 on Billboard and #1 on the rock albums chart. And musically, it was really a refreshing change of pace for the band. Unexpectedly, for a band that at this point was 20 years deep into their career, they went in a much heavier direction compared to their past material. It was a very fresh take on their sound, and on top of that, it's really just honestly some of the best material they'd ever done, which is incredibly impressive for a band that, like I said, was over 20 years deep into their career at this point. The list of bands that pull that off is very, very small. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Green Day maybe, there's not a whole lot. And after that, in January of 2020, they released a compilation album with reimagined versions of some of their older songs, as well as one brand new song. And as of the time that I am recording this video, their most recent release is a collaboration with Starset, which, if you're not familiar, is basically one of the biggest radio rock bands of this generation, almost like the new Breaking Benjamin. Which brings us to the final question of this video. What is their lasting impact and legacy? The first thing that comes to mind is that even though you don't necessarily hear their name brought up all the time, the fact of the matter is that they are one of the biggest gateway bands in this entire generation of rock and metal. Especially for people of a certain age. Like, how many people got into this kind of music because you randomly downloaded some anime music video off of LimeWire in 2007 and it happened to be using a Breaking Benjamin song, and that was the moment that you got into this kind of music, right? Sasuke versus Naruto featuring Trapped. And you are not alone.
The good old AMV.
I will bet you a lot of money that a huge chunk of your favorite bands that came out in the last 10 years or so got into this stuff, at least in part thanks to Breaking Benjamin. The other thing that I mentioned earlier in this video is Ben's particular vocal style. He's just got those specific kind of vocal patterns that as soon as you hear them, you go, oh, that's Breaking Benjamin. Which I think a lot of modern bands heard and said, yeah, let's do that too. The most obvious example of that would be one of the biggest bands in metal right now, Motionless in White. Who definitely has their own sound. I'm not taking anything away from them. And they're obviously much heavier than Breaking Benjamin and would fall under more of the metalcore category. But they've said many times before that they were influenced by Breaking Benjamin, and you can certainly hear that influence. And with all of that being said, despite coming out over 20 years ago, Breaking Benjamin is still relevant today, and they've had an incredibly long and successful career
Покури сигарету, я почти что закончил.
Despite all those ups and downs with the legal battles and Ben's health and everything else that they've been through. And so I don't know when they'll ultimately decide to hang it up, but when they do, I can guarantee you that they'll be remembered as one of the most important and influential bands of their generation. All right, my friends, that does it for this video. As always, let me know what you think in the comments.
Thank you so much, the punk rap and the A for this beautiful story. Didn't knew anything about Breaking Benjamin. Anyway, leave a like, share the love. All right. All right. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. Back to back. Fix my issue. Now I have none left. Things are going okay. Alright, let's keep going. I have like...
MMORPGs can be...
Okay, I saw...
MMORPGs can be...
Okay, I saw something interesting. This is your sign to play Final Fantasy 14 online. Subscribe to Angelica Tosh. Leave a like, share the love. I'm actually curious because technically I will not go play Final Fantasy. I do not have the time, and it's not for me. But I'm curious about why now there is like a reason for anyone to actually like play Final Fantasy. So let's check it out.
Really hard to get into, especially if it's a game that has been around for a while. An abundance of content, years of lore, and a long established way to play, all of those things scare some people off into never trying certain titles. Which is why today I want to talk about Final Fantasy XIV Online, where they have so many interesting things coming, not just for active or returning players, but for brand new ones as well.
Okay, this is exactly why I got curious about it. Thank you, Angelica Tosh, because like this is the good stuff, you know?
Recently, the Final Fantasy XIV Fan Festival took place in Anaheim, California, and there was a lot revealed in terms of the next chapter of the story and the future of the game. And for this video, I've partnered with Square Enix to tell you guys a bit about what's coming, what I'm most excited for in terms of the new content, and all of the big things that are coming to...
Ah, it's really cool. She got even a partner, like she's like doing a collab with Square Enix. Like, good on her.
Final Fantasy XIV Online in the near future. And in that, I also want to highlight why right now is the perfect time to return to the game and its content if you've missed out on the last few patches since the release of Dawntrail. Now, the biggest news came with the reveal of the Evercold expansion, which is coming in January of 2027.
Okay.
The reveal trailer shows the next part of the story, which kicks off the Godless Realm saga. There isn't a lot that they can reveal about the story yet, but we know so far that players will be taken to the Fourth, which is a reflection of a ruined Hydaelyn that is succumbing to a ravenous cold or the ever-spreading ice. And though little else is revealed besides the setup of the next chapter, we are looking at a ton of content that's going to release even between now and 8.0 when Evercold launches. Huge emphasis is put on an ever-evolving world, with the biggest evolution coming at 8.0 at the launch of Evercold, and in terms of what was actually revealed and showcased, we have content updates, expanded character customization, and even a new job system, which I want to discuss here first because this is probably one of the most game-changing things that is coming to Final Fantasy XIV Online.
Okay, this is surprising because usually profession jobs like it's really side activity, side grind.
So jobs, as you know them, are now going to be split into two modes: the Reborn mode and the Evolved mode. Now, the modes are available for the core 21 jobs, excluding any limited jobs. And going forward, really the biggest thing is that this is going to change the way that you play
Unless jobs is the class, actually.
Final Fantasy XIV Online. Starting with the Reborn mode, this is for players who want to stick to a familiar playstyle. It is in keeping with the actions and action rotations that have been around since A Realm Reborn. They will still be receiving updates when 8.0 rolls around, so you can
Yeah, so basically jobs are classes, okay.
expect adjustments and changes. It's still business as usual in that sense. But going forward, any new jobs that are added to the game will only have Evolved mode. Now, Evolved mode adds new and different rotations, not like the ones that you'll know from Reborn mode, and one of the key things here is that there will be fewer inputs, which literally means that there will just be less buttons to press with this mode. Now, this doesn't make the game easier, but it does make it that every job will now have kind of an alternate version of itself, with differences in rotations and certain actions. It is literally like having a different or fresh take on a job that you're already used to. Now,
I think of like playing MMOs, like oversaturating what you actions just to be able to perform well. is something that can be interesting, but if it can be fixed or simplified, it allows for new players to discover and to not alienate like basically newcomers. So basically not scare newcomers. And I think it's a good step.
As I mentioned at the start of this video, this is one of those things that makes now a really good time for new or returning players, because in learning these new and unique rotations, you will be on equal footing with the rest of the community of active players who are also going to experience this for the very first time. These new rotations in the evolved mode will focus on highlighting the individuality of each of the jobs, bringing out their unique features, and again, if it is not your vibe, you can just stick to Reborn mode. The really cool thing about this is that this is not a permanent decision that you have to make with your build. Instead, you can actually play both ways because you will be allowed to toggle between the modes when you're outside of battle. It also isn't the case where either mode is a commitment in terms of learning actions or gear. Both gear and actions will actually be shared between the two modes, and all content will be clearable regardless of the mode that you're playing in. Evolved mode will be available.
More is better. More is better. So good news for like Final Fantasy players.
Well, as soon as you unlock any job, and as I've mentioned before, going forward with any new jobs that are added to the game, they will only have the evolved mode. Now this is a massive change and already a lot to think about, but like I said, this is why it's the perfect time to come back, because you will be in line with all of the other players that will also be learning this new way to play. Now the thing that I really want to dive into next are the character customization options. You guys know that we love that kind of thing on this channel, but also if you know me, I'm somebody that has been quite vocal about character customization and certain systems that I have gripes with, just in general things that I don't like about character customization. But what I really like about the improved or expanded options in Final Fantasy XIV Online is that they are subtle but impactful. My favorite is the addition of a color picker for hair, skin, and eye color. Color pickers are essential for character creation in my opinion. You know, you can have presets for whatever. Hairstyles, faces, eye shape, eyebrows. I am not the kind of person that really cares about my inner eye corner shape, but being able to choose from a wide variety of colors, now that is really important. This is what makes your characters really stand out from each other. And it's really in keeping with the theme of evolution and individuality introduced with that evolved mode style of play, so I think it's fitting to be able to do such detailed character customization now. Especially in a game like Final Fantasy XIV Online, where there is such a focus on looks and job aesthetics. It's frustrating to have a character creator that limits you when it comes to eye color, hair color. Now, perhaps a more subtle addition is the improved eye and lip customization options, including things like eyeshadow. Like, you can see the difference here. It is subtle, but these are the sort of things that are so nice to be able to do, because when you've been playing a game for long enough, you yourself might look at certain things and think, well, I wish I could have done that myself, or I wish I could make this area more defined or this area darker, and now you can. Face painting can also be layered now, which I wish more games would include an option like that. These are just really small things that in the long run make more players stand out from each other, so it isn't just a bunch of like default avatars running around. And you will also be able to toggle certain parts of your gear on and off. This is great for removing like a really clunky piece of gear that's just messing with your whole look, without losing any stat benefits, of course. Now, we're all about fashion here on this channel, and as somebody who has straight up refused to wear certain gear pieces that were just too ugly, I really approve this. Even more interesting, this works for pieces that aren't just strictly armor, and it's once again perfect for creating your own unique style and look. The look of your character in games like these is half the fun, and having emphasis on individual style and looks enhances your importance in the world and the story, and it makes these games much more immersive. I talk about this all the time. Now, let's talk content. They have teased certain things like improving quests and public fields as well in an effort to make them feel less empty. There is going to be brand new dynamic content added to familiar locations, but in a way that keeps things stable. More details to follow on that soon. They haven't given too much away yet, but so far it's nice to know that those spaces are going to be getting some love again. New battle content is on the way also. One of the biggest additions will be a third difficulty level coming to 8-player raid. raids. So this won't be harder than Savage or easier than normal, it will be in between. So it gives you a new opportunity to gear up and whatnot in a difficulty that's not Savage, or before you get there at least. And they're also looking to adjust progression routes for 24-person raids. Now, while they haven't provided many details on this just yet, they have said that this is in an effort to not make the game easier, but more manageable in terms of the time that you need to dedicate to it. Reducing the grind a bit, so to speak, and again, if you're somebody who quit because you just didn't have time for the game, this will probably interest you a lot. Now, this covers just some of all of the cool and interesting things that are coming to Final Fantasy XIV Online. My main point is that right now is the perfect time to return to the game. Even now, going into 7.5, between 7.5 and 8.0, there is a whole content map of all of these new things that are coming, including a brand new Ultimate Raid. And new players, they are offering an extended free trial that includes the Shadowbringers expansion. With that, you can play up to level 80, and there is no time limit on how long you can play. The only other restriction with it is that you cannot play Ultimate Raids while on the free trial. But it does give you a chance to properly explore the game before you choose to subscribe. And to get started, you can click on the link in my description below. But yes, I definitely recommend it. Totally worth it to check it out right now, and I hope you guys enjoy.
It is.
But for now, that's it for this video. Thank you guys.
Actually, a good thing to hear about like Final Fantasy and the fact that like how they treat their players and how they keep like how they stay in touch with the modern video game landscape. So this is great. Let me. Fuck no. I swear to you. It happened. My fucking sound is fucked and I'm like, is this too loud? Is my voice too loud? Is the video too loud? Let's check it out. God fucking damn it. Okay, this is good enough. Nice, we keep going. I'll probably check again, but like... Alright. The oldest World of Warcraft trailer, 2001. Let's discover. Even the sound sound rough on the edges. Ooh. Yeah, you know it's all because of the Blizzard logo. This was so pre-alpha, like... Like, look at the interface. It's so clumsy. But it is the game, but like, there is so much missing. What the fuck is this spell? Damn. So yeah, look at this fucking. So this was alpha, at the alpha. Look at the fucking interface. So the bag, you can see the origin of the bag. The map is the same. But like, where are the fucking buttons? Like, so you have like your button to attack, and that's it. I need to. What? How do you perform any action other than that? Like, can you tell me? Like, wait. Okay, this was the action bar. What the fuck? They did the trailer with level 1s on top of that with 3 spells. I mean, it was a different game era, different video game era, but like still, god damn. Everyone started somewhere, huh? Okay. I wanted to check it out. Pragmata, not a game for me, not my style. I really do not. It's not much. Not made for me. All right. On this game trailer, Pragmata though, I want to know what the fuck like is the real deal. So let's check it out. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like to on this game trailer. Share the love.
From the studio that brought you iconic characters,
What am I fighting for?
but want you to know that they don't
How about we do some, overtime?
Sorry. Unless they're cousins. Comes
What
a
the
brand
fuck?
new IP that makes you genuinely ask, do I want to be a dad? There's your answer to Japan's low birth rates. Gaming. Pragmata. Blast off with a game that no one thought would come out. As it impressed with its flashy trailer 5 years ago, getting steadily overshadowed by more popular titles, until it finally dropped out of nowhere, joining the small but mighty genre of Dad Simulator, taking everyone by surprise with its unique mechanics and writing, ensuring it becomes one of those weird gems that Capcom comes out with then buries without a sequel. I'm still mad about Mega Man Legends 3, and no amount of therapy will ever change that. Bounce into the zero-gravity atmosphere of the moon, and experience the very bad day of Hugh, a system engineer sent to investigate some very strange happening.
So basically Dead Space.
Only to discover the base emptier than a Post Malone concert, as they are suddenly attacked by to no emptier than a very strange happenings. Only to discover the base emptier than a Post Malone concert, as they are suddenly attacked by, to no one's surprise, a vicious AI and its bloodthirsty robots. Because the new hot fears that AI is going to exterminate human life. And looking at the AI sloppocalypse that's taken over my feeds, maybe it already has. Are you even a real person watching this right now? Am I? Lament as Hugh and his team get sucked into space or crushed, leaving him alone with the mysterious childlike robot Diana, an advanced android called a Pragmata, who, just like a real kid, doesn't know a single thing that's going on.
What the hell is going on here? And why are these things trying to kill us?
I don't know.
You'll join forces in taking on the homicidal AI Edis and the angry Roombas it's created to stop you. Ugh, why does the robot need so many teeth? Then move through the moon base,
That's
trying
a fair
to uncover
question.
what caused the AI to go full murder hobo. All while
Murder
raising
hobo.
your new adopted robo-child, so they don't become a psychopath too.
I'll try my best to surpass his efficiency.
That's not how this works, Diana.
Isn't that really what parenting is all about? Or I assume so. I had a dog once, but there's nothing in the rulebook that says the owner can be blamed for arson.
Ain't no rules said the dog can't play basketball.
Get ready to do your best John Connor impression, as Pragmata takes the action of your favorite zombie killing title and replaces them with robots. It's kind of like they put rocket boots on Chris Redfield, where you'll use an array of weapons to avoid being turned into a crushed aluminum can, and balance the gunplay with the equally frenetic hacking mechanics, where you'll open up a minigame that allows you to actually do damage, instead of unloading a clip of armaments that hurt as much as softly whispered insults, creating a
Softly
unique battle
whispered
system
insults.
that balances situational awareness and playing Snake on your Nokia, all at the same time. This is peak. But it's not all doom and gloom on the Murder Moon. Once you're done fighting for your life, take a break at the shelter, where you'll get to witness the full glory of your lizard brain in action, as the power-ups you hoarded like a doomsday prepper finally pay dividends. Play bingo with your robot monitor friend to purchase a bunch of different upgrades for the next time you're starring in a robot bukkake party. Hit the training room to earn some goodies. Then patch the hole you put in your drywall when you couldn't nail it. There's also a costume closet full of outfits that are barely legally distinct from Halo. Then of course, there's Diana.
But if anything happened to him, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself.
Give her your rems for adorable and heart-melting interactions, and receive pictures she draws for you that are better than any trophy achievement, but not better than unlocking sick new guns and abilities. Yeah, maybe an imaginary father, but I will not compromise my values. I would do anything for you. Robot drones and being able to boost around like a Gundam. So welcome back, child labor, and get ready to nurture that parental instinct in a refreshing new IP that is perfect for resetting your palate from the real techno-apocalypse unfolding. Showing that even if most AAA games are unoriginal, there's still hope that a few weirdos in Japan might make a unique game now and then. Now, the only thing we can hope for is if there's a sequel, they don't just kill off the dad unceremoniously like some people love to do.
Oh my.
Starring
The
Medium
memories.
Daddy, Astro Girl, Girl Automata, Google Gemini, a very human design, and what your Steam Deck will look like once you can get one in 3020. Dad Space. I know that people might think I'm crazy for saying this, but I'm pretty sure this game is actually based on the American Mega Man covers. You know, the one where it's just an overweight middle-aged man in colored lycra fighting robots created by a mad scientist. There are just too many similarities. But hey, this is a theory, and I'm very drunk theory. Tell us.
This was cool. Completely confirmed that, like, when I saw the trailer, it is not a game for me. But, like, happy that, like, it's a good game overall.
Hello everybody, my name is Dratnos.
The Triple Threat, a team.
Hey guys.
Fucking god. Will I get over all of that? Okay. Right.
Atnos, and today.
Okay, Mythic Dungeon International started. I actually do not have the time, or never had a reason to care. But I'm doing my Mythic Plus. I play tank, so it's actually interesting to see what they do compared to when they compete for timers. Just to get an idea of what the fuck is going on this side of competitive play when it comes to WoW. So the fastest run up midnight, mandatory strategy explained. Let's check it out.
Today we're going to take a look at Mandatory's hyper-optimized path through Mysara Caverns from their perfect Deathless Group A weekend. All talents and builds used by the players can be found via Raider.io in the description below. Mandatory start off this run with a massive Bloodlust pull, combining all their major cooldowns to get a huge head start on the enemy forces count they'll need. It's not just offensive cooldowns that are used either. In the first few seconds of this pull, every single player presses at least one personal defensive cooldown to ensure their survival and give Ryson the ability to cast some Starfires instead of healing spells. This allows him to contribute substantial damage to the pull, while still doing some healing through the talent Dream of Cenarius, which is part of this newly popular Resto Druid build. After finishing up this pull and collecting more than 25% of the enemy forces they need, Mandatory wastes no time freeing the prisoners as efficiently as possible, with Ryson backtracking to the entrance and then using the Wernstone that Gingy gave him to rejoin the group. The rest of the group, in the meantime, has been busy starting the next pull. While Mira has gathered everything, Kush on the Devourer Demon Hunter benefited from not having to spend long outside of combat, while Maestine on the Affliction Warlock was able to start dotting everything up. This composition is one of many that Mandatory used this weekend, as thanks to the MDI's spec variety rule, teams need to adapt their specs from run to run. The Affliction Warlock in particular is a spec they really optimized to shine in this dungeon, while the Augmentation Evoker's unique utility suite, like that Wernstone we saw before, and we'll see again, made it a high priority pick that they had to carefully ration in each series that they played. After another big pull, Mandatory find themselves with over 50% enemy forces before pulling the first boss. But they want to take some more with them into the fight. Mirez rolls out to tag some extra enemies, while also using Ring of Peace to keep the last few mobs from the last pull grouped up in the AoE, while Ryson goes on a journey to tag some more bears. Then Mandatory engage the boss and cleave everything down while making sure to keep the Shadowbinders interrupted. Their comp doesn't have a Death Knight for a grip, so it takes a while for the Headhunter to get under the boss, but luckily they're able to remove the hooked snare it applies to Maestine through a heads-up use of Soulburn, making his demonic circle cleanse the root. When all is said and done, Mandatory have 58.8% count and the first boss dead at the 507 mark, and head through the gate to the rest of the dungeon.
And
some more Evoker utility, in the form of Spatial Paradox, allows Ryson and Gingy to briefly have 100-yard range on their abilities, which lets them easily tag all the extra enemies they'd like to fight with the mini-boss. During this encounter, Mandatory do have one ability to watch out for, Ritual Sacrifice, which goes on Maestine this time. Luckily, he is a Night Elf, so he can Shadow Meld to briefly drop combat and also the Sacrifice. After the mini-boss goes down, Ryson and Gingy briefly activate some of the ritual incenses at the sides of the room, while the rest of the team charge forward to start the next pull. The most important thing here is to not get too crazy with the Collapsing Stars or other burst AoE abilities as the Grim Skirmishers get low, as synchronized Grim Ward explosions can be very lethal. Once this pull is done, Gingy turns around and heads back to the mini-boss room. He activates the final incense, which summons a spirit that will aid Mandatory for the next minute. Then he uses the Wernstone to teleport to Ryson, who is standing just within 100 yards of Gingy on the other side of some walls and hills. Then the two of them use a Warlock Gateway to catch up to the team.
Okay, I didn't know like you can summon a spirit that can help you. This is actually really cool.
Now it's Ryson's turn for a U-turn, as he runs to the top of the stairs to tag some more enemies while Gingy keeps running to rejoin the group. Once in range, Gingy rescues Ryson, and the carefully choreographed dance ends with the whole group and most of the remaining enemy forces that they need all converging on the second boss. Once again, Mandatory make use of personal defensives on almost everyone to get through the most dangerous part of this pull, which is the start when all the trash is alive. But as soon as they kill most of it, it's time to grab some more to bring them over 99% enemy forces. But still, they're not quite at 100%. The enemy forces plan now reaches its final stage, as Mandatory have earned themselves the ability to skip all of the trash on the bridge and the dangers that come with fighting while the spectral hands are hurling projectiles towards them. So Mirez grabs a bunch of enemies before taking a Wernstone and hitting a Shadow Meld to rejoin the rest of the group who ran through safely.
Damn.
Unlike most of my Mysara Caverns runs, Mandatory do actually have a plan for the last 1% of the enemy forces bar. It's Zybion the drummer at the top of the stairs, but his time isn't up quite yet, as they first run past with some defensives and pull the boss. Zybion's Ritual Drums AoE has a relatively short range of 70 yards, so the back section of the boss room is actually safe from them. Mandatory make use of this to fight the boss until it's almost time for the intermission, at which point they drag the boss back towards the entrance and use some more defensives to survive the drummer's damage before being sent to the spirit realm. Once they return, the damage amp that they stacked up during the run back allows them to make short work of both the boss and the drummer, ending the run at 12 minutes and 24 seconds as one of the 9 deathless dungeon runs they put on the board during this tournament.
12 fucking minutes.
Make sure to tune in next weekend to watch Group B and see which teams will join Mandatory and send.
So basically, their pools are... Okay, what's the key though? Can you see like the level of the key? Yeah, the route is like completely fucked. Like, oh yeah, you can inspire yourself and so try this. What the fucking tank can even take this many hits? Yeah, I guess. Well, that was interesting. That was actually interesting. I was like, maybe I'll get a route. At least I got like an idea of a route, right? For Mysara Caverns. But yeah, really interesting how they just basically the whole run is you pull everything dies, you do it 3 times and bosses. But at the same time, really cool that like I got to discover that like you can be helped by spirits by doing like an interaction in Mysara Caverns. Like, this is cool.
Triple Threat, a team composed of players.
Okay, new tech unlocked, incredible Windrunner route explained. So it's an international mythic dungeon competition, and basically they talk about like epic runs that they saw. So Windrunner route explained. I'm actually curious. Just curious. If they'll say which key level they do it as well.
The Triple Threat, a team composed of players from the top 3 rating guilds in the world, were the champions of Group B this past weekend. Let's take a look at one of their more innovative routes from the weekend, and the winner special.
Okay, so this is plus 17. Okay.
Right at the start of the dungeon, the normal initial pull is dealt with quickly. While the teams would like to pull more here, unfortunately for them, there's a wall preventing them from moving to the rest of the dungeon before this pack is dealt with.
I'm actually curious to see if they go left or right.
It's probably the only pull of the dungeon that would seem normal, though. Quick knocks out of the Spellguard Magus' Spellguard protection cast to ensure they don't waste too much time on this pack. Moving towards the Derelict Duo wing, a slightly smaller pull than normal is done to allow time for the Metamorphosis and Army of the Dead cooldowns to reset. Still, great care is taken to make sure the Ardent Cutthroats in this pull don't resolve a Poison Blades cast, removing the potential for poison dots to stack up during this pull. Afterwards, they set up for their first Bloodlust pull of the dungeon. The rest of the wing in between them and the bosses on top of the duo themselves. This pull is extremely dangerous and has wiped teams before in the cups already. The burst from Wall-Life's Metamorphosis on the Havoc Demon Hunter being augmented by Gub is more than enough to carry the damage needed on this pull, quickly breaking the Willbringer's pulsing Shriek Shield before it has time to rot the group out, in addition to the boss's passive damage.
You're right.
Once the duo is down, Ember Dawn's wing awaits. A nice ring of peace on the Restless Steward allows them to skip past that annoying caster, and the team runs all the way down to the Apex Links. Zotzi, however, decides this isn't enough trash, and heads outside to grab the Bloated Lasher, as well as a few flowers on top of it. It's a smart way to make the upcoming pull a bit easier on Teef. The Bloated Lasher does a nasty amount of AoE damage to the group, but also enrages the Lashlings that they then want to drag down to Ember Dawn, something that can easily cause a tank death on that pull. This massive pull, however, is once again carried by the DPS cooldowns, which have reset from the Derelict duo, plus the travel time in the dungeon. The second the Bloated Lasher dies, they're off to the races once again, pulling everything left into the area down towards Ember Dawn.
Damn.
Even without the Bloated Lasher enraging the flowers, the main person in danger here is still Teef. Taking this many mobs at once has him in Red Stagger for nearly the entire pull.
They're still
Normally,
at
the
0
Dragon Mob
death.
should be a danger to the DPS players in the group. They have so much AoE CC, from leg sweeps to augment evoker knocks to ring of pieces if they really need them, that the fire spits never really get a chance to do any damage to the players. Once the trash is dead, they swiftly deal with the remaining health on Ember Dawn. However, the real crown jewel of the strategy comes next. Normally, after dealing with the first two bosses, you'll have to deal with a couple of Phalanx Breakers and Swift Shot Archers. This combination is extremely annoying to deal with efficiently. Breakers charge around all over the place, the Archers deny a ton of ground area. Triple Threat decides they don't want to deal with any of that, and runs past the group, past everything, using a ring of peace at the end of the stairway to make sure that they can stay out of combat with them once they deploy all 4 of their Shadow Melts. Gubber, unable to Shadow Meld, simply waits for the pack to reset and joins the group with his Wernstone.
Damn.
Strategy doesn't end here, however. In order to spawn the next boss, they need to kill the next 2 mini-bosses in front of them, both Phantasmal Mystics. Instead of safely breaking the pull into 2 manageable pulls, which is normal on live, they go for broke, pulling literally every single mob they need to spawn the boss. Both Mystics, a ton of Axe Throwers, a ton of Marauders, just a ridiculous amount of mobs together. There's so much unavoidable damage in this pull. The Flame Novas do so much damage and need a personal to counteract that damage. But there's also these spectral axe throwers in the pull that just like to stand outside of the group and toss axes at the group the entire time. Just to play it safe, they have a couple CCs head out, notably a Paralyze on one of those axe throwers, to try to reduce the amount of damage taken. This doesn't really slow down their strategy at all. They can just pull these in with the boss later and cleave them down. Once dealt with, a quick couple of boss kills leads to, once again, another extremely clean, deathless dungeon for Triple Threat. Something that was very common for them throughout the weekend. Make sure to tune into the official Warcraft stream next weekend to see top teams such as Liquid and Miscount.
Okay, this was way more entertaining than I thought, but basically the strat is at some level of fuck you item, you can go for like mega pulls. Like, I cannot see myself like surviving pulls like this, but like I guess you can. But like the whole strategy is like pull 3 packs, and these 3 packs, it's the whole fucking like enemy force. It's interesting, more entertaining than I thought actually, to once like explain and watch. Don't forget to leave a like and share the love. Okay. Look at fastest run of Midnight Dignitas, 12-minute Magisters. This is interesting. Wanna see.
How the Group C winners, Dignitas, played a perfect Magister's Terrace in the last weekend of DMDI, where they beat out.
So this was plus 15. Okay.
Since progression is locked behind killing this pack, they need to deal with that first, but I promise you, this is the only normal pull in this dungeon you're going to see. While Kira charges ahead to gather a big pull onto the blazing pyromancer that awaits the team in the library, the damage dealers make sure they utilize anti-magic shell, spell reflect, and aspect of the turtle to not take any avoidable damage from the arcane bolts of the arcane magisters. AJ helps out by tagging the blazing pyromancer.
Yeah, because basically, like, the problem is that, like, so at a certain point, the AoE damage dealt by the casters, or like just the mandatory like AoE damage, if you pull like in too many packs, basically it's not, the problem is not the healer or the tank that is not able to survive, is that basically your DPS are getting one shot after one shot, because they get like a volley bolt, for example. And if you have like 5 packs, well, there is like 3 volley bolts, and it's like one shot right away. This is actually interesting.
Magic shell, spell reflect, and aspect of the turtle to not take any avoidable damage from the arcane bolts of the arcane magisters. AJ helps out by tagging the blazing pyromancer so they don't need to waste time pathing through the bookshelves, and instead they use the cubby in front of the vigilant librarian that blocks the path. Once the pyromancer is dead and the path is clear, Team Dignitas wastes no time and Kira charges forward into the boss arena of Arcanatron Custos. There, they're tagging in all the bright scale worms, the sentry, the pyromancer pack on the right side, as well as the boss itself. This is where we see them utilize Bloodlust with their offensive cooldowns together with the bright scale worm's energy infusion, which multiplies their damage for 1% per stack that they gather. They also use their own defensive cooldowns here to help AJ deal with the ignition from the blazing pyromancers, especially as the arcane beam from the sentry targets individual players too, while also, of course, dealing with the boss mechanics at the same time. Death Coil and Crackling Jade Lighting are used on the bright scale worms by Jack and AJ to help Kira not waste any time as they're gathering their next pack after having killed the boss. To do so, Kira uses Stampeding Roar and Incapacitating Roar to speed up his team and allow them to walk up to the end of the gauntlet before the Light Ward healers start casting and causing chaos. Additionally, they use Paralysis from AJ as well as Chains of Ice to delay the healers joining the pull even further. While this happens, Hearthjax also drains 2 of the energy crystals that are hidden on the side of this gauntlet to immediately reach 20 stacks of energy infusion, to do a lot of damage right at the start of the pull. This group of enemies is particularly evil because of the rune spellbreakers who cast Runic Glaive, which is an uninterruptible cast that always hits 2 players and deals a lot of damage over a 10-second time window.
Yeah, and basically these are like the things that disallow, at least like if you in pubs with pugs, basically to go for packs like that, because like if there are like 2 casters or 3 casters that cast this at the same time, they do not have enough, like they do not use defensives, and basically they die and not the healer or the tank. And this is kind of like a misconception about like why can't we go for more, you know?
With 3 of those spellbreakers in the pack, every way to counteract them is crucial, and so Team Dignitas uses their Shadow Meld to avoid any application of any double stack here. Pressing Meld late also assures less casts overall as they move through this pack. The Bright Scale Worms finally join towards the end of the pull as the team has ran out of cooldowns, and with another stack of energy infusion across the entire team, it helps them finish off the pull. Once the team has pulled Serenal Sunlash, the healers that were CC'd earlier finally join the team to add additional cleave and an easy way to get count. Another niche optimization on the Death Knight is shown off by Hearthjax as he sees he's targeted by the runic mark, and pre-AMSs to avoid the application and allowing his healer to do even more damage. Now comes the hardest part of the dungeon. With Stampeding Roar activated, Team Dignitas is going to charge ahead and take everything in their path into the Gemellis boss room. They don't have Bloodlust or Energy Infusion available for this, so they're relying on their raw offensive cooldowns to get them through this pack. Notable enemies in here are the Void Terrors who cast Terror Wave, which will fear the entire team if it isn't interrupted, as well as the 2 Shadow Rift Void Callers who cast Consuming Shadows, which takes heavily on the team, and which the team uses defensive cooldowns for. On top of that, The dreadful Void Walker constantly casts shadow bolts, and since the team is focused on keeping the terror waves under control, not many options to interrupt these are available. While all of this is happening, the Devouring Tyrant also applies a huge Absorb Shield to Kira every single time it casts Devouring Strike. The Tyrant and the Void Caller that stand next to the boss spawn need to be killed off as quickly as possible to allow the team to spawn Gemellas. That is why they focus them down, and while the RP for this boss spawn happens, they finish off most of the pack and then add the remaining Void Terror and Dreadful Void Walker pack that stands to the left side of the room into the boss fight.
Okay.
Once Gemellas and his Gemelli are dead, the team floors it once more for the final 19% trash count of the dungeon. Kira charges ahead, grabbing everything in his path, while the rest of the team follows, making sure not to add any additional packs that stand to the side of the pathway. This poll features 4 Void Terrors, which will need to stay interrupted once more, but can be lined of sight while they're being gathered. This gives the team some breathing room until they recast. Additionally, there's a Tyrant Void Caller combination on this pack as well that requires defensive cooldowns as well as good coordination between healer and tank, together with clean execution on the interrupts, of course. As soon as that Void Caller has died off, Team Dignitas wastes no time to make way to the Gentris, letting the enemies trail behind them. The Hollow Soul Shredders use their Dimensional Shred to immediately follow up, whereas the Void Terrors move a bit slower, once again allowing the team to let their cast go off without needing to allocate resources for it. Once the Tyrant has died, the team makes short work of the Gentris after reaching 100% count, and in a super fast, deathless 12 minute 11 seconds Magister's Terrace, they win out the series. Make sure to tune in next weekend to watch the CN teams and see
this is actually cooler than I thought. Like, I think that like International Mythic Plus is actually like maybe not to watch like for 6 hours as a stream, but the way it's summarized, at least, like it's actually like really cool. Like I'm happy that I took the time to check it out. All right, I am actually done with this React stream. So I'll see you another time, and as always, be toxic.